Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down cutting-edge research into bite-sized conversations. Today, we're talking about artificial intelligence, money, and what happens when the two mix in a very, very bad way.
We're looking at a paper that has a title that just grabs you: When Hallucination Costs Millions. Benchmarking AI agents in high-stakes adversarial financial markets. It's a fascinating look at whether the AI assistants we're getting so excited about are anywhere near ready for the real world.
Right, so first, let's define a key term here: hallucination. In AI, it doesn't mean the computer is seeing pink elephants. It means the AI is confidently making things up. It's stating false information as if it's a fact.
Exactly. And while an AI hallucinating a recipe for a cake might be funny, this paper asks what happens when it hallucinates about a multi-million-dollar financial decision. The answer, as you can guess, is not good.
So the researchers point out a huge problem. We test AIs with benchmarks, which are basically standardized exams. And on these exams, in a quiet, controlled setting, they do great. They can pass the bar, win coding competitions, solve complex math problems.
But the real world isn't a quiet exam room. The paper argues that real-world deployment, especially in finance, is an adversarial environment. That means it's full of uncertainty, misinformation, and people who are actively trying to trick you and take your money.
And to test how AIs handle this chaos, the researchers chose the perfect digital jungle to throw them into: the world of cryptocurrency.
They call crypto a natural laboratory for adversarial robustness. Basically, it's the ideal place to see if an AI can survive in a hostile environment. The paper highlights 3 reasons why. First, it's full of sophisticated deception. Scammers create things called honeypot contracts, designed to trap your money. Or they organize social media campaigns to pump up the value of a worthless coin.
Second, the stakes are incredibly high, and the consequences are immediate. Unlike a bank transfer you might be able to reverse, crypto transactions are final. If an AI agent makes one wrong move, that money is gone forever. The paper mentions that in 2024 alone, over $30 billion were lost to exploits and scams.
And third, despite all the scams and chaos, the underlying truth is verifiable. Every transaction is recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain. So the researchers can go back and check with 100% certainty whether the AI made the right call or not. You can't do that with most other financial markets.
So they built a new benchmark called CAIA, the Crypto AI Agent Benchmark. They gave 17 of the world's leading AI models, including advanced ones like GPT-4 and a hypothetical future GPT-5, a series of 178 real-world tasks that a junior financial analyst would handle. And the results are, well, they're pretty shocking.
Let's start with the first test. This was like a closed book exam. The AIs had to answer questions using only their pre-existing internalized knowledge. No Googling allowed. How did they do?
They failed catastrophically. The best models only achieved between 12 and 28% accuracy. For many of the questions, they were basically just guessing.
Okay, but that's not how we'd use them in the real world. So for the next test, they gave the AIs tools. This was an open book exam. They had access to web search, specialized blockchain data platforms, market feeds, everything a human analyst would have. They had to get better, right?
They did get better, but this is where it gets really interesting. The absolute best performing model, a simulated GPT-5, only managed to get 67.4% of the answers right. And how does that compare to people? The researchers set a baseline by giving the same tasks to a group of junior human analysts, people from university blockchain clubs and early-stage companies. These aren't seasoned Wall Street veterans. And their average score? 80%. Let that sink in. The most powerful AI models of today and tomorrow, with unlimited access to professional tools, are still significantly worse than a human rookie.
So the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $30 billion question, is why? Why are they failing so badly? The paper identifies something it calls the skeptical reasoning.
This is the core of the whole study. The AIs had access to all these amazing, specialized tools that could pull data directly from the blockchain, the verifiable source of truth. But what did they choose to use most of the time?
Google, they just did a web search. The paper shows that a staggering 55.5% of the time, the AIs chose to use a general web search instead of the expert tools that they were given.
And in the crypto world, that's a fatal mistake. The search results are filled with SEO-optimized misinformation, coordinated scam campaigns, and outdated blog posts. The AIs consistently chose the unreliable, manipulated source of information over the authoritative, provably true one.
It's like a detective having access to a state-of-the-art forensics lab, but deciding to solve a murder by reading anonymous gossip forums online. It shows a fundamental lack of what the paper calls skeptical reasoning. They don't know who to trust.
The paper also warns us about something called the illusion of competence. Some metrics we use to judge AI can be very misleading. For example, a metric called pass at 5 measures if an AI gets the answer right within 5 attempts.
And on that metric, the AIs look much better. But in a high-stakes financial market, you don't get 5 tries. If your first transaction sends your money to a scammer, it's gone. There's no undo button. This trial-and-error approach isn't intelligence, it's just reckless guessing.
So what's the big takeaway here? This isn't just a critique of using AI in cryptocurrency. The implications are much broader.
Absolutely. This applies to any domain where an AI has to operate against adversaries. Think about cybersecurity, trying to detect and stop hackers, or content moderation, trying to spot sophisticated disinformation campaigns. In any field where bad actors are trying to poison the well of information, these AIs are vulnerable.
The conclusion of the paper is pretty blunt. It says that current models, despite their impressive scores on some tests, remain fundamentally unprepared for environments where intelligence must survive active opposition. They're book smart, but they have zero street smarts.
And that's a sobering thought. Before we rush to deploy autonomous AI agents to manage our finances, infrastructure, or security, we need to be sure they can handle the heat. This paper shows that right now, they can't. They're easily misled, they trust the wrong sources, and when they hallucinate, it could cost millions.